Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Marcus D'Angelo, joined by my incredibly dorky brother. What are you doing?
I don't know.
It's my brother, who is of WrestleZone.com. Of course, Dominic D'Angelo. You all know him. My name is Marcus D'Angelo. I think I just said that. And we are two Dynamite dudes with attitudes. That's two. Number two. This is pretty simple stuff. And we are talking about AEW Dynamite. And Dom, we had a real barn burner of an episode.
We sure did, Marcus. But first off, I gotta ask you, how's your kid doing? How's the child?
My kid is doing well. Yeah, she likes to poop.
Oh no, I'm sorry, not that kid. The Randy Savage figure you just got. How's that?
Oh well, Dominic, it's taking a nap right now. I put it down for the moment, but let me tell you, it's my pride and joy.
Oh, I bet it's gonna be great on commentary someday too.
I'll tell you. You know what's really gonna be great is like 20 or 30 years from now, when I'm just like done collecting these figures, I'm just gonna sell them and make a small fortune.
You think so? Do you think they might at that point they could be like, look at the Jack's Bone Crunchers? They're not worth anything right now.
Well,
or the classic figures, like remember they made those, like the legendary figures, like people scoop them up like crazy, and then there's nothing.
You take a look at Hasbro figures, Dominic. About 10 years ago, probably could have gotten almost any one of them for $10, maybe less. Probably less in most cases. Now you probably can't touch one for less than, I would say 20, 25, maybe depending on which figure, hundreds. The green card Hasbro figures, Dom, it's they're selling at a ridiculous price. I think 123 Kids selling for like $700 if it's mint on card.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. So now these figures, they only become more scarce. Every year that passes, the more difficult they are to find. So it's a seller's market, Dom.
All right. Well, I have a brief promo to cut too. So, Marcus, you've driven in Pittsburgh before. You know the lay of the land. You know everything like that. I don't know if I'm off base here, but I want to say that, and we both lived in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, so we're aware of both driving styles. I would say Pittsburgh is where drivers are worse than Philly drivers. Do you agree with that, or do you think that's off base?
I would say that Pittsburgh drivers are less decisive than Philly drivers. People in Philly are absolute maniacs, Dominic. Yeah. Everybody knows where they're going, and they're trying to get there as quickly as possible. So like it's not like anybody ever gets confused in Philly. Everybody knows exactly where everything is, but they'll cut you off without blinking an eye. Whereas in Pittsburgh, it's like playing fucking Chutes and Ladders over there.
Yeah, it really
with all the bridges and tunnels and shit. Very hard to keep track of. And I myself, I still use my GPS. I've lived here for 5 years. I still use my GPS to get around downtown because it's just very confusing.
Fucking Frank Lloyd Wright lived in Pittsburgh, and it's a confusing ass place. Like an architect lived here.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a city planner, Dom. Get your shit together. Anyways, get to the point. We're trying to get to Dynamite.
My point is when I bike in Pittsburgh, and bike lanes are a big issue here in Pittsburgh. People hate them. I kind of like them, but I don't really use them. Because why? Because I do not trust Pittsburgh drivers. All right? So I'm down in Shenley Park, which is near Pitt campus, and I'm biking back to do this podcast. And so most times, I don't trust Pittsburgh drivers. So when I have the opportunity, I'm going to bike on the sidewalk, okay? I'm biking on the sidewalk. I'm going down Liberty Avenue. Who's there in front of me? And I always try to be accommodating for people walking on the sidewalk too. But is this dude with his dog, okay? So I'm like, I'm not going to get on the side of the dog because you don't know what the dog's going to do. The guy can maybe make accommodation, maybe move over a little bit. I was like, I'm going to go over far to the side too and try to, be as respectful as possible. So what does this guy do? I'm biking by, and as I'm biking by, he's like, hey, there's a bike lane, man. There's a bike lane. He's got a fucking face mask on, which is fine. That's good. But I got so fired up because I'm always expecting somebody to say something if I'm biking on the sidewalk sometimes because I'm just like expecting it. So my line was always going to be, would you trust this traffic out here? But instead, it caught me off guard. And I was like, I don't want to bike on the street, man. And immediately I just started judging that man and getting very furious about like what kind of wuss of a man just says something like that and just does not just accommodate anything. I wanted to bitch slap him so hard like I was Dr. D. David Schultz. And just fucking, I was like, is that fake? Is that fake?
Yeah, Dom, as much as I appreciate you cutting a good promo on somebody who's upset about where you're riding your bicycle, I just don't know that it's engaging to our listeners.
Well, I don't care. I was fired up. Marcus, I was so mad. I was so mad biking back. I was swearing under my breath about this guy like coming back. And I was so pissed off at that dude. I was like, what kind of bitch of a man does that shit and says something?
Dom, if you want to talk about bikes, there's like a bicycling podcast right over there, man.
Well, there's my promo. All right. Post away, Marcus. I had to let that out. I had to let it out.
Full heel at the end of your promo. All right. So, wow. Dominic, it was one of the most compelling episodes of Dynamite in quite a while, and you're over here talking about your goddamn bike. Oh, you know what? We're going to power through it. And, Dom, we're going to start with the hits. Let's talk about the Dinner Debonair. Is that what it was called?
The Dinner Debonair, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. So Dominic, I know that it got over huge with you. So please, tell us your thoughts on Le Dinner Debonair and all of the very unexpected things that happened.
I know. So at first I was like, they were sitting down and I was like, it looks like they're on that Zach Galifianakis Between Two Ferns.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know where this is going. And like, I liked that they were butchering the waitress's name like really bad. And, they were going back to that. And then they're trying to one up each other. But I'm like, where is this going? What is going to happen? And like, then they start breaking into song. And me and you, we grew up like with Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis Jr. in our house, all that stuff.
And musical theater.
And musical theater nonetheless. So it took me a little bit. I was like, this really sounds like one of the Rat Pack songs. I was like, I don't know. I can't. Is it Sam's song? What is this one happening? And it finally started dawning on me. I was like, I know this one. I was like, I think it's Frank and Sammy together. But so MJF, wow, can he sing? And but I just liked it. Each week we're always talking about like, we want to see like some realism. We want to see like, back and forth, all this stuff happening. And, comedy is, I think, has been over the course of time, these weeks, has been a pretty big flaw in AEW's, not only their production and presentation, but their execution of it. Like some of the comedy does stick and is good in little moments and like, but it's mostly the wrestler doing it. When they intentionally try to do comedy with AEW, it hasn't really lined up in a lot of things, But when you have the stars like, Jericho, if he gives a quip, or MJF, if he gives a quip, or Tony Schiavone's in something, then it's kind of, it's funny. But like,
right. If Richard tears the shirt off his own manager.
Yeah, we don't want any of that. But now you're getting me thinking about the whole bathroom segment again. Where oh my hands!
It's too hot, Larry.
It's too hot, Larry. But and Miro, obviously that's trash. But this, as ridiculous as it was, and as like out of place as it was, I think it really, really worked because it was funny and it was well executed. And a big part of me is like, when comedy is done in wrestling, I don't think it should not hurt the persona or the wrestler. It should not hurt the star. It should not be detrimental to the star. And it also has to be funny. I think both of those happened. Like it didn't hurt either Jericho or it didn't hurt MJF, because I still can argue that either guy can turn it up when they need to. When they got to make it intense or when they got to make it serious, they can do that. Jericho's done that plenty of times before, plenty of times. And MJF, if you have not seen his work in MLW, he's done that before, where he's amped up the intensity and took it to a different level of that. Okay, yeah, it's jokey, funny MJF, but he he can turn it on to this level where he wants to get violent. Like he had a match with Mance Warner, and brought the intensity to it. Like cut a mean ass promo that's like nothing like what we saw. But dude, I thought this really worked, and I thought it's not detrimental to the product. I think, and you know, you're getting mixed reviews. You're hearing positives and negatives about it, like from a whole slew of people, you know? So I really liked it, Marcus. Let's get your thoughts on it, and maybe if I have anything else to say, I'll let you know. But I loved it. I really liked it.
I mean, chime in by all means. First of all, I think it was D. Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. I know for sure I heard a version where it was Dean and Sammy on CD, but I don't know. I'm sure he's done it with Sammy.
I looked it up on YouTube. There's a YouTube of Frank and Sammy doing it. Audio.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess Sammy's is multiple people's shadow. But in any case, I don't know how I felt about it. So like, as far as entertainment value, like, yep, very entertaining segment on TV, like compelling. You can see why, like, if somebody was flipping through the channels and that was on their TV, they'd be like, what in the hell is this? And they'd like stop and watch it. So like entertaining, you cannot take that away from it. Yeah, MJF has got a good voice. I thought Jericho was like struggling to find his key for a little bit, and then he found it, which I thought was interesting because I'm like, Jericho's the one who's like performing musical numbers on stage all the time. So like I thought that was kind of amusing. But
different style, but
yeah, obviously this is not exactly in his wheelhouse. But I thought they did fine. They good harmonies and whatnot. But we're not analyzing the musical part of this. So yes, entertainment value, all of it was there. As far as like wrestling is concerned, and like building an angle, if that's what they're doing, like MJF has to join the Inner Circle now because they're like chumming around. And just like stupid choreographed stuff. So he has to join the Inner Circle as far as I'm concerned. Because like I'm big on kayfabe, Dom, as you know. Like I like the idea that like, could you imagine watching like an action movie and then all of a sudden like Arnold Schwarzenegger just like turns to the camera and he's just like hamming it up, you know, like breaking the fourth wall, being silly.
It's a different in this, like wrestling's different. It's a totally different animal from all that stuff. Like, obviously, you want the storytelling to not get flawed or interrupted or anything like that. But again, like to this point, I don't think it really did. It was just like it was a moment that I think, you know, yeah, like if MJF joins the Inner Circle, I think this makes just plenty of sense, you know, or
that's something. The only way.
Yeah, that's the only way. But I think, I don't think they're going to miss a beat with any of this. Like, it doesn't cause any hiccups or speed bumps, you know, in regards to that. Because, I mean, I don't know. It's worked just totally fine with me. But
well, you know, I like kayfabe, and I don't like people winking at me. Like, I just want it to be what it is. I want the storyline. I want to see how it plays out. I want to like root for somebody and maybe see him lose, or like root against somebody and see him lose. Like it's just, I'm a traditionalist in that sense. That being said,
but did they wink at you? Because I don't think they did. If you like go back and read the lyrics and stuff, they're trashing all the baby faces throughout that whole thing. Like,
no, they're winking at me by doing the song and dance, Dom. Like where it's just like and they're clearly choreographed and they're like leaning up against each other. Like that's winking at everybody.
I get that. But I mean, I don't know. I still can kind of buy into that in a lot of ways, where it's just like, you know, oh, all right, they went from this, but it's still a moment where two guys that have established themselves in a certain persona and how they handle themselves, like Jericho throughout, you know, his 30 years, and MJF, this small sample that we've gotten over the course of the year, you can buy into them kind of doing something like this, I think.
Yeah. Well, you know, man, I'm not saying I hated it because I didn't. Like I said, it was very entertaining. You're right. Wrestling is such a different form of entertainment than any other out there that it's like, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is. Like I look at it, as I said, almost like an action movie. And like, I would be pissed off if I was in the middle of like a very intense scene and Arnold Schwarzenegger just turns and he's just like, you know, or just like winks at you. It'd be like, fuck you, Arnold, and fuck this movie.
Fucked with me, man.
But thanks for reminding me I'm in a movie theater. I just wanted to be in this moment, you know.
Are you enjoying the popcorn?
Right. So I don't know. It is a different animal, very entertaining. I'm no denying it. So I don't know. I'm very much on the fence. I think that this is just what wrestling is nowadays. And I've got to get used to it. I think everybody else does too. I mean, is it any worse than Buff Bagwell's mom on a pole? Probably
Right.
not.
Right.
So,
It's like, how much of the sanctity of the business are you really hurting with a lot of this stuff? You go back even to like the 80s WWF, they all did a fucking musical number. Like Vince McMahon's like, stand back and all that bullshit.
yes.
And
No,
then we also had during Raw, like you go back, I got into an argument with one of our buddies over text messages about this angle because he hated it. He hated it. And but you go back and you look at all the different angles that happened in the Attitude Era. So you have like Kurt Angle bring out a milk truck and spray hose people down with milk, fucking milk, okay?
and
then
funny.
You have
It was funny though, but it wasn't winking at the crowd.
It wasn't winking at the crowd. It wasn't winking at the crowd. But then you also had The Rock and Austin singing Margaritaville to close out a show.
Right.
You had what else was there? That The Rock, This Is Your Life. You know, you had all that stuff. All these
I believe Triple H had sex with a corpse once.
Yes, correct. Not well executed.
Mae Young gave birth to a hand. I mean, we could go on for a while.
Oh, so many memorable moments that did not soil the sanctity of professional wrestling.
Right.
It's just like this is nothing. This was well executed. It was funny. I mean, from a personal standpoint of me liking Dean Martin, the Rat Pack, and all that stuff, it was an extra level of added awesomeness to it. So, I mean, and plus it's just 2 stars that you're going to see develop over time. If you go back, we go 5 years ahead of this. MJF's a top star, established star, and like world titles, all whatever, you know? You go back and look at this, it's going to be a memorable moment that's not people are going to be like, oh, well, that was a fuck up on their part. Like, that's not going to happen.
No, I mean, of course not. It's not. You're right. It didn't hurt anybody's career or anything. It's just like I said, I'm just kind of stuck in the whole like I want to forget that the real world is out there for a couple hours and just watch pro wrestling and see like this soap opera unfold. And sometimes when they wink at you, you're just like, oh yeah, I got to go to work tomorrow. Like this is real life. You know what I mean? So like it does take you out of it. So I don't know. I'm not saying I hated it. I didn't. I don't know how I feel about it yet, Dominic. And like I said, I think this is what pro wrestling is now. With like ridiculous high spots that would never ever take place, with silly segments occasionally, and then some great action sprinkled in there. Which, by the way, we saw in this episode of Dynamite.
Absolutely, we did. But we also saw some of those silly high spots, and some of them that were like, I think, took me out of it. And unintentionally, they took me out of it.
There was also a very scary moment in the main event, which I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll cover that.
We'll get there.
There was one more point I wanted to make about this though too. Can't remember. Oh, this is it. As much as I loved it, and as much as I think it's an awesome moment and something that I'll go back and watch again over time too. Don't do this again. They can't do it again. You don't want another musical number. If you're going to do one, you can act like you're going to do one, but something's got to stop it from happening. Like you can't.
Well, that would be hilarious if like once MJF joined the Inner Circle, they're like, and a 1, 2, 3, and they'll start, and then like some baby faces hit the ring or something like that. Would be entertaining.
The record, so to speak, scratches, and that doesn't happen.
But unfortunately, Dom, I think you make a really good point because if you look at, like, for example, the Undertaker AJ Styles cinematic match at WrestleMania, it was a big success. People loved it. It got really great reviews. So they're like, well, we have to do more of this because it worked really well. And it was stupid to do anymore. I think that that is a one-time, never do it again thing. Or if you do it again, do it in like 10 years or wait for forever before you try it again.
A very, very, very appropriate moment that you can do that where you maybe have an established star that has done comedic moments. But I mean, you need a guy like Jericho in that mix, and you would need somebody that's as charismatic and talented as MJF to do it. I don't think you can really replicate that again. And it shouldn't be replicated with these two again, because this was the moment. You don't want to do it again.
Did you ever watch American Horror Story?
Oh yeah, it's an awful show. I
remember digging it during certain periods, but then all of a sudden it felt like in every season there was a big musical number, in the middle of it. And like all these people are musical theater people, so you know that they were just like pitching it to the writers, like, "Hey, I really want to sing, and this person's a great."
Well, how about we incorporate a little bit of cats in this? Is that okay? Can we do that?
And that's my concern now with this is they're like, "Hey, that was great. We should do one of those live. That was a tape segment. What if we did this live?" And like, oh, hey, what if we brought dancers out? And then like, oh, it would be fun to see this person in that position. And then so like, and then all of a sudden, it's literally becoming musical theater right before our eyes, and I don't want that to happen. So I hope
Well,
it's
did you ever see the South Park wrestling where they go to WWE?
no.
And they go like it turns into like all like Shakespearean soliloquies. Like it's like they'll start, the spotlight will go on a wrestler and they'll just be constantly like cutting a promo that's just like a soliloquy, like an artistic, and everybody's like sitting there in awe and like everything like that. You don't want that.
I think they just made a really compelling character for WWE. Could you imagine somebody who comes out and is just like Shakespearean in like a single
Aiden
spot?
English, get Aiden English to come back.
Oh, he'd be great in that role.
Yeah.
In any case, we digress, Dominic.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel. I'm nervous about where it's going to go.
Did you watch it again? Did you go back and watch it again, or?
I watched it once.
Okay, go back and watch it again when you get the chance. I mean, because I did. The next morning I went back and I watched it again. I was like, I just want to see if it still holds up for me. Totally held up for me. Totally everything. I don't know if it'll change your thought process and maybe make you more cemented in it. But maybe you're just waiting to see how they follow up too. That could be it too.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head, Dominic. Maybe good to see once. I don't want to see it again. So we'll see how it plays out. Dom, next thing I think that we should talk about, we've started doing a thing now where we're going to talk about like what we feel are the biggest parts of AEW Dynamite. And like I started with the Dinner Debonair, but really to me the biggest part of AEW Dynamite was the promo by Eddie Kingston. Man, Dominic, that guy, he has it. And we were on here, I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago or what, and I was talking about his physique, and I was like, I wish he'd just hit the gym more, lose a couple pounds. I've changed my mind. Like he could stand to get his arms a little bit bigger, I think. But aside from that, it all came kind of crashing in on me as I was watching that promo, because like so. Back in the day, they always talked about Jake the Snake and how he was so different from everybody, where he would cut a promo, or rather, all the other people on the roster would cut these screaming promos, and they're getting all red-faced, and they're shouting, and veins are popping and stuff, and it's just like, it becomes white noise because everybody does it. But then with Jake the Snake starts talking, and you lean in to hear what he's saying, and I caught myself doing that during Eddie Kingston's promo.
Physically.
I was physically leaning closer to my TV, very compelled by what he was saying and doing. Wasn't shouting. He was just like, he was making all of his points very, very clear. And I think he's my new favorite guy in AEW, Dominic, because he is like
Top and Brody. So you want your baby Piper to say Eddie Kingston now instead?
So I'm gonna rename her Kingston D'Angelo. But yeah, dude, he's the modern day Jake the Snake, but probably better, which is saying a lot, because you know how much I admire Jake the Snake's promos. This guy he's talking me into the damn building. Like, he's not going to. John Moxley's gonna go over against him.
See, that's the thing though. People are just kind of, being on social media and stuff, I see people are like, give Eddie the belt, give him the belt. Would you be upset if Eddie got the belt?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
No, neither would I. Neither would I. And I would buy it. I would buy it.
So, like Jake the Snake, I don't think he needs the belt. That's why Jake was never Intercontinental Champion or World Champion. They always said, like, he doesn't need the belt. He's over. Like, the belt is to help people get over. He's over. He doesn't need it. And I agree in this sense with Eddie. I don't think he needs a belt to get over. But I think that a guy like that who can cut a promo like that, he's an incredibly valuable asset. And it's sort of like, I would have loved to have seen a championship run with Jake the Snake Roberts, like him with Hulk Hogan when Jake was
Scott Hall. For me, I would have loved to see him have the world title, like a world title run or whatever, you know. So.
Dude, when Jake was a heel, it is such a missed opportunity that they didn't have a long feud between he and Hogan.
Yeah,
because it would have been incredible. So now I think we can kind of make up for that with Eddie Kingston, who's the modern day equivalent, but better. So yeah, Eddie Kingston. We always talk about MVPs. I'm revealing it now. Eddie Kingston was the MVP of Dynamite, and all he had to do was cut a pre-tape promo. It was incredible. Dom, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. Like, I'm like I say, I'm covering this I'm doing the live coverage, so it's a lot of like looking up, looking down. I was very invested in what he was saying, and like I thought how he weaved it and the unique turn he took with it by saying like he admits that he's a selfish snake, and he had to do that.
He had to get that way.
He had to get that way, and when he wasn't getting this stuff, but now look, he's getting an AEW title shot, and now he's gonna make John Moxley like coming into his world, so to speak. And the like just the delivery of that, and then the wink at the end. I'm like, fuck, man, that's great shit. Is great shit.
He's unbelievable. And so John Moxley, he cut a similar pre-tape promo.
Yeah.
And he himself in his own right, he's a very good promo. I don't remember what he said, but I remember everything. I do. I remember everything that Eddie said. Now I'm starting to remember because it was like in relation to like, Eddie's jealousy and bitterness and whatnot.
It's corrupted him. And it was like, I thought Moxley's promo was equally awesome too. Like
equally, no, it was good.
It was awesome. Okay, Eddie's was better. Yeah, Eddie's was better. But like I thought Moxley's was a great follow up that continued the story and got Moxley's side of the story over. I think it was very important that he said what he said because he's like he considered Eddie a friend. He saw that he changed, and like made his point, that I'm doing what's best for my family and that kind of thing. And I thought he made that. He furthered the feud, enhanced the feud. And, dude, like the fact that it's an I Quit match and they set it up for that, like, beautifully. Like with Eddie passing out, never saying I quit, or never submitting, anything like that. They've really made the stakes super duper high for this. And, like, I think it's such a cool thing to have at Full Gear. Even if, like, I think it would be neat to have Eddie win the belt because, kind of to your point earlier, he doesn't look like your typical wrestler that you would see, like, especially nowadays. And to have him have the belt on him, I think adds that unique standout quality and diversity to AEW.
Well, I do not believe he's going to win the belt. I would love it if he did, but he's not going to because and this is going to be a good adjustment to the next point, Dominic. They are going to have a heel Kenny Omega come up against John Moxley, I believe. So as I was watching it with Kenny, they were doing this big overblown intro for him. They were talking about how he once wrestled in North Carolina, which to me is just what are they talking about? That was like part of his.
I meant to kind of go back and maybe watch that, but it was it was a squash match, so it's like I didn't go back and watch it, but like they ran down the accolades that he had, which was like, it was funny because Jerry Lambert from Fightful was like, it sounded like a nerd wrote all that stuff at the beginning for like his intro, and I was like, yeah, it's something that we would have wrote. Like it sounds like something we would have wrote. But it's like to have that rundown and stuff like that. Like I don't know, what do you think of that? Do you think that was like intentionally supposed to be like kind of nerdy in a way, or like over the top to kind of glom on it a little bit? Like, oh, Kenny's got all these Observer 5-star, broke the 5-star scale accolades, so to speak, and everything.
And once in North Carolina, which I think it's got to be an inside joke with he and the boys, and he probably threw it in there to pop the boys, which again is annoying to me. But in any case, it was like a very heel thing, and then he comes out, squashes Sunny Kiss, and he makes that face after he puts her down, where it's just like this was easy for me, and then like it very disingenuously is like hugging him, like saying no, not me,
and then Sunny's like all reluctant, like, oh, what the fuck is up with you, man?
Right. So at that time, I was like, okay, he has to be a heel now, right? Because that's all that stuff is super heel stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's not exactly the kind of heat, that we've gotten used to. Like this isn't exactly like the Horseman beating the shit out of Dusty Rhodes and breaking his arm. And pull me out of car, start whooping on me like crazy,
like a mafia hit, baby,
like a mafia hit. So it's not exactly heat in the sense that you and I know, but it is. I mean, it was annoying. So I guess that's what's going on, and yeah. So I think that they're priming him to win the championship. So mark my words, Dom. Kenny goes on to win the entire tournament. He'll beat Hangman Page in the last part of that tournament, and then he'll go on.
That's where it can kind of be up in the air, though, Marcus, in that way, because I mean, if Hangman wins the tournament, then it could make sense for Eddie to win the belt too, and then that would be an intriguing feud between Hangman and Eddie Kingston too. So
it would. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Kenny put over Moxley before, right? Yes, he did. Yeah, Kenny put over Moxley before, and I think he's going to get his win back.
Did he beat Mox?
Yeah.
That was not a good match, but
no. So I think that they're going to do that again and get the belt on Kenny because they view him as a flag bearer, and I think he has the potential to be a flag bearer. Maybe they should cut some of this like dorky stuff, but I don't know. Maybe that's the way he gets.
That's what they're going to lean into, maybe a little bit. And
if it gets heat, then it gets heat.
And you know what? But let me say this too. I was up in the air about Kenny, and you know that like weeks on end, I've been up in the air about like I don't know what they got to do and what direction they're going to go. It's like Kenny's got to prove some stuff to me. This was building some good groundwork for it. Like I liked it. And it's a definitely and the announcers did a good job, particularly JR, about like saying how this is a change. Like this is like looks like a new change in persona for Kenny, and this is like him what he should have been starting off kind of thing. They essentially said all that, and I thought it was really well done. And I love Sonny Kiss, but like he needed to get the squash against Sonny, it should have had the way it played out is the way it should have played out. And, you can always like, I don't think Sonny was hurt from that at all whatsoever. So it's just like you can always go back to doing something different. But yeah, no, I thought it was really overall well done and got me invested into it, which I was up in the air about. So
I do wonder if that was the original plan with Joey Janela, who didn't contract COVID, but he was in close proximity to somebody.
AJ Gray, independent wrestler AJ Gray, he fought at the GCW Last Resort show in California. AJ Gray tested positive for COVID-19, and that news kind of broke that day of Dynamite.
Right.
And they ended up making the announcement on Twitter that Joey Janela was being replaced by Sonny Kiss.
So I do wonder if that was the original plan. I imagine it is to have Kenny come out and squash whoever he was wrestling and look strong. I will say too that the reason a lot of people doubt Kenny Omega and they say like he's like mud show wrestler sort of a deal. But his finish, the one winged angel. My wife was sitting there with me watching. No idea what anybody's finisher is here, but she was like watching the match, and when he pulled that move, she was like, "Oh!" It looked devastating. And so it's like he's like by virtue of that, like he's got it. So
you know what? Like I've got pretty darn full confidence that Kenny's gonna show up now. Like it's gonna be moving forward. We're gonna get a good Kenny Omega that's gonna be engaging. And something that fans are going to want to invest their time into.
I would like to see him as the cleaner.
I think it's probably going to get to something to that effect.
I hope so. I want to see the shades and the toothpick and the leather jacket. So yeah, I'd like to see that. I guess we'll see how it plays out. But no, I think Kenny's he's certainly got the potential. Let's just see how it plays out.
I hate to double back, but real quick, did Heather see the Debonair, the late Dinner Day Debonair? What'd she think of it?
Well, so I was prepping her because I watched it the following day, so I knew what happened. So I didn't tell her exactly what was going to happen, but as we were sitting down watching it, this was last night. As we were sitting down watching it, I was like, so this is like the big thing on the internet right now. I was like, I don't think you're going to expect what's going to happen. And so as she was watching it with me, she was like, "I feel like I'm high right now." She was she was like, that just came completely out of nowhere. It was like last thing she possibly expected. So like that was kind of her takeaway. It was like that was very weird thing to see on a professional wrestling program. So yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, so casual fan, and she's kind of spitting it back up. So I don't know. Hard to say. Like I said, entertainment value through the roof. Right thing to do? I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
so
think it was great. So either
I'll,
way, I thought it was both.
I'll tell you this, Dom. A right thing to do was the opener, Wardlow and Jungle Boy. Man, what a pairing! And this is classic old school storytelling, is it not? Where it's like giant tough guy versus the smaller but maybe craftier baby face. And I'll tell you what, Tony Schiavone and JR helped to get it over big time. As far as like saying Jungle Boy needs to try to stay away from him.
Yeah.
And use quick movements. So Tony Schiavone and JR were at their best there, I think, helping to get the match over and tell the story. And then the guys told the story in the ring. I kind of wanted to see Jungle Boy go over, just because like it is a David and Goliath thing. So like the fan in me wanted to see him go over, but then also I really want to see him just become Jungle Jack Perry and
me too. Mm-hmm.
And be a single wrestler.
Yeah, me too. And you know what? Like I want to see that kind of journey for him, like where he's like fighting up, doing the Bret Hart route, where he's like going up through the ranks, eventually winning like the TNT title, then moving on to everything else. I thought it was an awesome opener. The guys, like you said, they really complemented one another very well. I liked that from a ring psychology aspect, like Jungle Boy tried taking out his legs, like was chopping him down tree style, and I thought that was a really neat element to it. And then just Wardlow, I thought the finish was kind of cool, like where he F10'd him into the ring, kind of like paced himself coming into the ring, and then the F10'd him again and then just pinned him. I thought that was a neat way. So
because again, if we're assuming that all this is a shoot and we're keeping kayfabe, if you were to pull a devastating move on somebody, but then it took you a little bit to get at them, like logically, I know me, I'd be like, I should probably do it again.
You know what? I should maybe do it again.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and secure this win, or what would have been really cool, again, because I want to see him become Jungle Jack Perry, it'd be cool if Wardlow put him up on his shoulder and then like Jack Perry wiggles out of it and turns it into a small package for the win. That's another good way to tell the story. So I don't know, a lot of ways you can go, but I do like that they're strapping a rocket to Wardlow. I think he's a star.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's coming up against Hangman Page. And we all know where this is going. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega were former tag team partners. They're on opposite ends of this bracket. They're going to meet in the middle of the bracket. They're going to be the two finalists.
Yeah. And it should be that way, I think, ultimately. Yeah. I think it would have been really, really interesting, though, if they put them both on the same side and then just had that story play out on one side of the bracket. So you left that unknown of like, oh, well, who's going to make it to the finals on the other side,
Right. No, I agree. I mean, they should have been a semifinal match or something.
Yes.
Because you kind of accomplished the same thing. But in any case, man, I love tournaments. I know you love tournaments. So this has been a cool one so far. Another big match on that tournament, by the way, was the Lucha Brothers coming up against each other. I mean, you kind of knew that you were going to see fireworks. And this was another match where I was like, all right, if you're going to pay attention to any of the matches tonight, Heather, my wife, I was like, you need to watch this match. And she was blown away by some of the stuff that they were doing, and she loved. I don't think she's ever seen a Canadian Destroyer before, and she saw that finish with Rey Fenix, and she was pretty blown away. She was like,
nowadays you don't hear that too much. I don't think I've ever seen a Canadian Destroyer before.
It's like a tope suicida. It's in every match.
Yeah. No, it was a good match. Rey Fenix got hurt in it. And he's out. Did you see that? He's not in the tournament anymore.
I saw where Eddie Kingston convinced him to give it up for his brother. I didn't know he was legitimately hurt.
I believe he got hurt during it. Well, he did get hurt during it because he did that head scissors off the top rope and then I think knocked himself maybe a little bit silly or something happened. Yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, but the strange thing is like he pulled off so many more athletic moves after that. when that happened. Like he did that awesome Spanish Fly, which, by the way, like Spanish Flies kind of always look a little like questionable to me. That one looked like an effective Spanish Fly that would hurt you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
well, I mean, the guy's a great athlete, and this was lucha wrestling at its very best, especially with two guys who know each other as well as those two do. Like,
oh, do they know each other that well though?
going into the match, that's why I told my wife, like, hey, you've got to pay attention to this one because I was like, all right, if any match is gonna have good chemistry tonight, this is it. And they complement each other well, and it was a really good match. Should be cool to see Penta come up against Kenny Omega. I'm looking forward to that part of the tournament.
Hey, that one of the main events at All In was Penta and Kenny, and that was a great match.
Yeah, so I'm sure that this match is going to be incredible. So yeah, it's that was awesome. Something that was less than awesome, I thought was the main event. You know how I feel about schmozes. Schmoz matches just aren't my thing. I don't think it really highlights anybody in particular. It's just like it's like watching a battle royal, right? Where it's just like you're like, what do I focus on right now? And sometimes the cameraman doesn't know exactly where to put you for like what's the most interesting thing to focus on. So it's just a little bit too much. But the worst part of
really planned out stuff sometimes, like where
the
clearly telegraphed.
The Butcher and the Blade were standing on the outside with their arms around each other, waiting. It felt like 15 minutes for somebody to get to the top rope to jump down onto them.
Or that spot too, where Private Party, where the near finish, where Young Bucks power drove Isaiah Cassidy, I believe, on top of the Butcher, and they splashed on top of him, did a senton splash and power drove. Yep. That was like Butcher was laying there forever, and
the Butcher. So they direct you to cross your arms if you're gonna be laying on the ground and take a hit. And so the Butcher was like, you could tell he was nervous to take it. I was like, oh, this must be like a dangerous spot if he's acting that way, because like the guy was just getting set on the rope, and the Butcher already had his arms crossed, and they were like kind of up, so he could kind of catch the guy and then take the bump. Yeah. So it was, I mean, the fact that you and I were watching that and seeing that stuff, it tells you just how not fluid the whole thing is.
Yeah.
The worst part of it, Dominic, was Alex Reynolds getting legitimately knocked out, and they continued the match. The Blade was the one who appeared to discover that there was something wrong because he was pulling him into the corner, and then all of a sudden stopped what he was doing and moved his focus somewhere else. I mean, I don't know what the rules are. I felt that the Blade should have gone to the referee and told him exactly what was going on so that they could start to approach the situation differently. The scariest part of it all, Dom, was that Alex Reynolds got back up and took a couple more bumps.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm confused at too, because I don't know if the Blade recognized that. I'm sure he kind of had to recognize, because he dragging that kind of dead weight around,
So he dragged him to the corner, and then he got him in what he thought was the right position. And then you could see he was like, I want to pull him in a little bit closer. He started to pull, and that was when he seemed to realize, like, oh there's something wrong with him. So then instead of going up to the top rope like he appeared to be planning on, he just stepped back into the ring and found somebody else. In that moment, to me, he should have gone to the ref and said, there's a problem with Alex. You need to get him out of the ring. But instead, Alex Reynolds terrifyingly did a couple more spots and took a knee to the head from one of the Young Bucks. And
let me say though, I think Nick was pretty spot on with being
protected him.
He protected him. He took he gave that knee, because I watched for that too. And Nick, when he hit that knee, he was really conscientious of Alex.
I don't think Nick was trying to not hit him in the head, though. I think that's just Nick Jackson and him being a good worker and a good athlete. I don't think he knew what was going on, because if he did, why would you be trying to pull a guy who's concussed into a spot? Because he kneed him in the head, and then it was like an Irish whip thing into his.
It was like a bulldog kind of thing. They turned
exactly, and you could see Alex Reynolds' legs just give out. He just fell flat on his fucking face. Instead of actually being able to deliver the bulldog with him. So it was scary. I think that
it was scary. It was scary because
sooner.
You could see when he was out, when he got knocked out after that move, and I think some of it's a little bit telling too. I really appreciate JR being on commentary and kind of calling out some of the stuff that happens in it, kind of being the check to the balances in a lot of ways, where it's if something doesn't make sense, or if something's high risk, he'll criticize it. He'll push against it. And that spot, like where Alex got knocked out, he called it. He's like, here they are taking another high risk. Was like, is this like paraphrasing? Is this really necessary? Essentially,
that was when they both came off opposite corners.
And that's when Alex Reynolds got knocked out cold. Like,
yeah, and you could see so as soon as Isaiah hit him, he stuck one arm up in the air, kind of like. As I was watching that, I was like, he just got knocked out, I think, because you see people.
Did you watch it the first time and notice?
No, I hadn't. So I saw a clip of it online first. So I was they pointed it out, and then I'm watching the match. So as I knew that there was a knockout during the match. Okay. But I was like, I wonder when it happens. But as soon as do you ever see a boxer get knocked out and he's got like one arm just like sticking straight up? That's what Alex Reynolds was doing. Yeah. Like, he just got knocked out right there.
And you could see that too when the blade dragged him over and stuff. His arm was still up,
and his legs were crossed. So he was out. And but you could see after the bulldog spot, I think that the referee saw that there was something wrong there with the way that he took that spot. And you can see the referee usher him out of the ring very quickly.
Yeah. And then that you see Doc Sampson come over too. Here's the thing, Mark. I think this is really telling about today's wrestling and what needs to be corrected. You have 2 injuries on tonight. And one of those injuries occurred between 2 brothers who know each other so well. So you think about the risks that get taken and the moments that get put on your television, but are still like as amazing and and as talented as it is, it washes away. It's oversat. It's a white noise, and the risk is so much like greater than the reward of it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, and something needs to be done about it. Like you need. And this is across the board. You see too many wrestlers today get injured. And that's not just in AEW. That's in WWE. That's just, I'm sure, like crazy on independent scenes too. And it's just like, this is something that needs to be corrected. It's aggravating. And you don't want to see that for these guys or gals, in the ring. You don't want to see them get put on the shelf for months on end. Look at Brit Baker. She's finally coming back to wrestling. And poor Alex Reynolds, dude, that promo, how he handled himself in that little segment, during the interview with Alex Marvez and stuff. I was like, that Alex Reynolds kind of got a little bit of style and charisma to him. And then they really showcased themselves in that match too. I thought I did not like the main event that much, but those 2 guys in the Dark Order, they stood out. That was a highlight for them. And I thought they were really shining, and all that stuff. You factor in all that stuff, that you're putting those guys at risk, and you're taking away their moments of being stars and kind of highlighting themselves when you execute those risks and something goes wrong.
Well, I will say, I don't think that the high spot silliness is going anywhere. It's just a part of modern wrestling, kind of like adding silly things now. Yeah. So it's not going anywhere. But the thing is, Dom, and I touched on it a little bit before, when you are in the ring with somebody and your opponent in that match takes a serious injury, not only is it on the ref, it's kind of on you to figure it out at that point. So again, I'm not trying to bury the Blade. He's a pro, and I'm sure it was just an honest mistake. But during that moment, the Blade, it was, as soon as he noticed that, he should have gone straight to the ref. Or what you do is you take that guy and drag him outside the ring like you're setting up a spot, and then just give up on him and get back in the ring.
Here's the thing, though, too. You have to be careful of is what neck injuries, problems like that. You don't want to do too much, to disturb the guy itself, because we know anything the neck is a serious thing. So it's in some regards you do have to be careful with that. You can't just
well, I'm big on kayfabe, but in that moment I can see breaking kayfabe as being 100% acceptable. Yeah. Or here's the other thing: the Blade can walk up to the referee and say hey, that guy's knocked out, get him out of here, something like that, and like one of those kind of motions, and then just like subtly say
There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it.
Subtly say to the referee, he got his bell rung, get him out.
Obviously, like Alex Reynolds is not the first wrestler to be knocked out in the middle of the ring, so it's like there's certain ways to do it, and I'm sure there's ways to execute it. Yeah. No, it was just super alarming that he was out for that long, and went back and competed further into it. I will say there was something Alex Reynolds did go out and state that AEW did a good job at taking care of him and stuff like that. But still, it's just that's scary, man. And I think it's a further telling sign. If your wrestlers are getting injured like every other week here or something like that, obviously you're not going to change styles. Like that's something that's probably going to be here, but like you certainly can make changes to protect your wrestlers better.
Well, JR was hired as a consultant, and week after week on national television, he bangs the drum on why are they taking this risk? It doesn't end the match. So, like, if he was hired as a consultant, why not listen to what he has to say?
Why not listen to somebody that's been around the business and that's done that? Whether it's JR, whether it's Arn Anderson, whether it's Dean Malenko in the back, Jerry Lynn in the back, any of those guys, they're pros.
Shivani says it too. Shivani says it too. So, I mean, all of these old school guys are recognizing it. So now it's time to like come to Tony Khan and say, hey, look, I know that this is what fans appear to want, but A, it's dangerous, and B, it's monotonous. Now, Tope Suicida, Dom, is about the same as an arm drag.
My God! I'm more impressed by arm drag now than Tope Suicidas.
Right. So we see it way too often, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. So no, I hope that they pull the trigger on making some of those changes because it is on the border of unwatchable. Somebody who's not unwatchable though, Dom. Let me transition. Let's shift gears. Brit Baker is back, and I really like Brit. I don't think it was an especially great match. Her opponent, whose name is escaping me, which I hate for.
King.
Yes, her opponent seemed pretty skilled herself. But yeah, I mean, it was what you would expect with a returning Brit Baker. It reminded me of her match in Pittsburgh, actually, the one that you and I were at, where she fought, I believe it was Jamie Hayter, who's a great, talented young lady herself. Where it was just like you kind of got what you were expecting. In that case, it was the hometown girl in Pittsburgh going over against a skilled opponent, and in this case, it was the returning heel going up against an enhancement talent. So yeah, I mean, it kind of got what we expected, but I'm glad that Brit Baker is back in action.
Me too, and I think she's going to be as she should be is a beacon for the women's division, like one of the top stars, obviously. And yeah, man, I like the match, was good, and I just love her finish. I love the lockjaw. I love the fact that she puts on a surgical glove and stuff like that. I think it's a really well done shtick and angle and everything like that. I think it's good. So
I think it's cool as hell, man. And yeah, I would love to see her in an extended, let me say it again, extended feud with Thunder Rosa. Let's not just do a one-off. Let's not build it for 2 weeks and then give it away on free TV. Let's do an extended feud between her and Thunder Rosa, or her and Serena Deeb. And let's really get her over by putting her in the ring with people who can handle themselves. So that's all I have to say about that.
I think that's very important though too, to do that, especially for the women's division right now. You want two stars that are able to that show that they can work in the ring, that they're personas and everything. And I think it's very important for the women's division right now for that, as it always should be, in any division.
So, I mean, we want to highlight the women's division, and there's one way to do it, and that's you take people who are credible stars, such as Brit Baker, and put them in the ring with people who are talented performers, such as Serena Deeb or Thunder Rosa. So that's a piece of cake. It writes itself. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And Dominic, I was just looking through, the format there, and I think that we burned through pretty much all of it. Obviously, there was Colt Cabana versus Hangman Page, but again, we got what we all expected there with Hangman Page going over. I'm glad he wasn't a pathetic drunk this time around. That was nice to see.
Yeah,
a baby face who you don't fucking hate. That was cool.
I like he's wearing the long trunks too. I like it. It's a little different.
Yeah, I think it's a good change for him too. And yeah, I mean that guy is an easy baby face. He's in great shape. He's got a good looking guy, cool hair. So he's very very easy to like. So yeah, it's could be cool to see him. And like you said, man, I would love to see him go up against Eddie Kingston as champion. I think that would be great. Don't think it's gonna happen.
Don't think it's gonna happen. Well, just don't know. I hope they create more of that intrigue and unknown throughout these next couple of weeks as we build the full gear.
No doubt about it. Dom, I think it's time for the Meltzer rating, and then we'll give her a little sign off.
Real quick though, let's see. What I did want to say. Okay, they did have we had a brief Miro segment with them and the Best Friends. Still nothing. You're not selling me on this, no matter how you shake it.
There's no way for them to pitch that upset about breaking a video game.
No.
That's worked for me.
We covered that plenty. I did want to say I liked Orange Cassidy's promo, where it was
okay. I'm not crazy about it.
I liked it. I really liked at the end too. I mean, I think it's great too. He was with Tony and he's like, "Oh, well, it's off to Cincinnati." He's like, "It's gonna be in Jacksonville." Whatever. And then he's just messing with the TV at the end.
Yeah. That I was like, I get that he's just trying to be like he doesn't care about anything, but to me that looked like he was trying to figure out how to unbolt the TV so he could take it with him. So I don't know. I would rather.
This is Orange Cassidy. It's like, I think this is stuff that's gonna stick after a while, like with people. It's like at first it was like, oh my god, okay, this is kind of taking me out of it. I think it's gonna be. I think they're doing a really good balance of like having that like don't give a damn attitude, but then when the times are right, he gets fired up and shows it. And I think we're on the right path with Orange Cassidy, and I just really like this segment. I like that moment. So
well, I hope that they continue to do it at least somewhat tastefully. That I'll be able to swallow it a little bit better that way.
Yeah. Tully at the end, that was pretty neat spot.
Yeah, yes, it was. I'll tell you what, Heather was like, "Who is that?" She was like, "Is that some old man?" I was like, "I think that is the guy who is playing MJF's lawyer." I was like, "Just based on the body type, that's my guess." And then he took off his mask. I'm like, "Oh, Tully."
It's Tully.
Yeah. So I'm like, "How did I not know that?" My wife even said she thought it was an older man. But yeah, so I thought that was cool. Neat to see Tully coming off the turnbuckle.
How about it? It's like getting me like thinking like, man, who could, if they were doing a triple tag, who would be on the other side with the Young Bucks on there?
Yeah, our name
Ricky Morton.
Yeah, Ricky Morton. That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. Man. Yeah. Hey, I might have booked something there.
There you go, Dom.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that's gonna do it, Dominic. I thought it was a really good episode of Dynamite. I don't really know what exactly it was missing. Pretty much had a little something for everybody. There were obviously a couple things that could have been polished, but I think at the end of the day, Dominic, I gotta give this episode a very solid 8.8.
Is this the highest one you've given yet?
I believe that this is going to be the highest one I've gotten to so far. So very close to a 9. 10 is like the perfect, unbelievable. But like I'll tell you what, Dom, the biggest takeaway was Eddie Kingston, and without him 7.6, that 8.8 is all.
That's still a good show too. That's still a good show.
But Eddie Kingston, man, just put it right over the top. Unbelievable promo. Yep, probably my favorite guy in the promotion right now.
I mean, I'm tuning in anytime he's talking, man. It's great.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah.
Huh?
Get your shit in, Dom, and let's wrap it up.
Yeah, okay. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. We started doing Wallpaper Wednesdays. I've been making some little stuff for you guys on there. We have an Outsiders, 2 Dynamite Dudes, and we have Orange Cassidy and Jerry Lynn, 2 Dynamite Dudes wallpapers. Just go through my Twitter. You can find them in there.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, I'm going to do a new one, and I'll keep adding to the gallery. Hey, Dusty running. Late Dusty finish here.
Oh, no.
But I had some interviews. Just posted my interview with Lavi Morgulin, who's the author of Trump Mania. Last night were the presidential debates, and Lavi and me cover just Donald Trump's pretty much pro wrestling style as it comes to him politicking his way to the presidency.
Dom, we are dangerously close to seeing that cat's butthole on this.
I know, right? I know, we gotta, Justin, you're gonna get us off YouTube here. You gotta be careful.
We're gonna have to get like a censor bar up there on the screen.
Or blur it out. Oh my God! All right, I think we're in the clear here. And then we have other interviews. Effie's a new interview that editor Bill Pritchard conducted, and we have plenty of other stuff on there too. They just did a live watch along of Halloween Havoc 1998. So if you want to tune in and watch that, that's good stuff. Yeah, content's always just flowing over on WrestleZone. Marcus, get your shit in. How do they follow you on Twitter?
You can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo if you want to see some tweets about how much I'm disappointed in my Dallas Cowboys this year. So you can always do that. Also, I share some interesting stuff. Just go ahead and give me a follow, folks. Why not? Just go. It takes a second.
Take a little click, look at his goofy face on there, and then just follow that son of a bitch.
I barely post annoying things on there.
No.
So you won't even notice me. You won't even
notice him. He's like... just going into that feed, he's the brother feuds will continue. I thought that really stood out for the Lucha Brothers, and I thought it really exemplified our relationship, Marcus.
Yeah, well, I don't think that you and I would have a close match, Dominic. You'd be squashed, not unlike Sonny Kiss.
That's not true at all. It's not true. Listen, I would chop you down like Jungle Boy chopped down Wardlow.
Well, Jungle Boy took a real ass whooping there.
But he was competitive. Marcus, I can't say the same would happen for you. You would, the big tree fall hard, motherfucker.
All right, I guess we're gonna have to put on a match for our
maybe
for our
we will.
Listeners.
We're gonna have to book it
for our fans, Dominic.
If you want
an autograph,
you're all bluff and no stuff.
We're gonna put on a match for our fans, and fans, if you want an autograph, just follow me on Twitter. I'll send you one.
There you go. Wow, what a guy. Stand up dude right here. All right, you got to get to your kid, and you got to get to your Macho Man figure. We're gonna let you go.
Yes. All right, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you next week on two Dynamite Dudes with Attitudes. Thanks, guys.
See ya.